In case you missed it, here's everything that happened in pop culture news this week. Let's get into it. First things first, let's make something very clear. On the list of people that you will very rarely hear me waste time speaking about, she's up there. But it has to do with Beyonce today, so I'm making an exception. Candace Owens went on Instagram to accuse Beyonce of being paid $10 million to speak at Kamala Harris's rally last month. Instagram itself flagged the post because, girl, where did you get that from? Cite your source. Well, even though Beyonce is an expert at ignoring us, Miss Tina, she's still in training. She clapped back, called it fake news, false information, and said that any platform that's still pushing it lacks integrity. She also says Beyonce paid for her own flight, her team's flights, and her full glam on her own, so stop lying on her daughter's name. Cat Williams sat down at Vulture Festival this weekend for literally no other reason but to cause more trouble. He reflected on the interview that he did back in January with Shannon Sharp and said that everyone that he mentioned in that interview, he fully intended to destroy their career. He also said SNL must not like him because they've never invited him onto the show, but they keep letting a woman impersonate him. Lastly, he said that if he's at a Diddy party, he's only there to tell on who else is there, so they don't even bring him around no more. Speaking of Diddy, if you remember, he's been denied bail twice now. Well, on November 8th, he filed an appeal to get bail again. Prosecutors are like, absolutely not, keep him in there. He's being accused of violating jail rules by using other inmates' phone time, using a third-party messaging service to get in contact with people, and having the people that he calls put other people on three-way. They also clocked that video of his kids singing him happy birthday a couple weeks ago, basically saying that Diddy is enlisting his children in a social media campaign. Mike Tyson also reflected on his most recent fight with Jake Paul. If you remember, this fight was supposed to be on July 20th, but Mike Tyson had an ulcer flare-up on a plane back in May, and they had to push it. He said back when all that was happening, he lost 25 pounds, lost half his blood, and had to have 8 blood transfusions. Even though he lost the fight, he feels like he still won because he's alive, but also he was able to train enough to get in the ring one last time. Pastor Jamal Bryant and Dr. Carrie Turner did get married. If you remember, Jamal Bryant is Giselle's ex-husband from Real Housewives of Potomac, and Carrie Turner is a pastor at Jamal's church. He for sure has a type. Kai Cenat is still in the middle of his Mafia-thon 2 and has now become the first streamer to surpass 400,000 subscribers. Belfar has announced that they're opening their very first flagship store in New York City. This will be located in Soho, and the doors will open November 23rd. Last but not least, I told you a couple days ago how Plies is suing Glorilla, Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, and Soulja Boy over the beat used in Wanna Be and Pretty Boy Swag. Soulja Boy responded via Instagram Live calling Plies a broke snitch and saying that those beats are not even his to be suing for. The NFL's 2 Christmas games are being played live on Netflix this year. More importantly, Beyonce is going to be the halftime performer for the second game when the Houston Texans are playing the Baltimore Ravens. Speaking of Beyonce, yesterday I told you Candace Owens was accusing Beyonce of being paid $10 million to appear in Kamala Harris's rally. Miss Tina clapped back. Well, today Candace Owens came back. She said Beyonce knows nothing about authenticity, and if you really want to show us you're authentic, tell us what was happening at those Diddy parties. Jonathan Majors and Megan Good attended the Ebony Power 100 Gala this weekend in Los Angeles and confirmed they are engaged. Meet me in the comments. Back in April, NBA YoungBoy was arrested in Utah. He caught 46 charges related to a prescription candy fraud ring. Well, today he pled guilty to 2 counts of identity fraud, 2 counts of forgery, and 6 misdemeanors surrounding unlawful pharmacy activity. As part of the plea deal, the identity fraud and the forgery were taken down to misdemeanors. He has to pay a $25,000 fine. He has to do 27 months in federal prison, but that can be suspended. Once he's done with the prison, he does 5 years of probation, and then he's good to go. Travis Scott announced a partnership with WWE's Monday Night Raw. This will stream live on Netflix as well, and Travis Scott will be at the very first episode performing live. Season 6 of Love and Hip Hop Miami premiered tonight. Tyler, the Creator, announced a partnership with F1 driver Lewis Hamilton. Spirit Airlines filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Nicki Minaj's Starships went diamond today. She's now tied with Cardi B for female rapper with the most diamond tracks. J. Cole announced a new podcast series called Inevitable. It's going to tell the story of his life while also releasing new music. Last but not least, LaMelo Ball was fined $100,000 for saying no homo during post-game remarks. The Charlotte Hornets played the Milwaukee Bucks, and a reporter asked him how he felt about being able to defend Giannis. LaMelo Ball responded, "Yeah, we loaded up, no homo." Then the NBA was like, "You're not getting us canceled, run us a check immediately." Last month, Tory Lanez filed a petition claiming that the piece that he used to harm Meg Thee Stallion was missing, therefore it could not be tested for DNA evidence. Today, California's Attorney General shut that down, revealing that the piece is and has been in their custody. A few days ago, I told you about how Diddy was being accused of breaking jail rules. Well, a couple of days later, Diddy came back and said, well, actually the feds raided my cell and took my notes that were meant for my lawyer. Today, a judge ordered prosecutors to destroy the notes and said that they cannot be used in the trial because it violates attorney-client privilege. Speaking of Diddy, his sons Quincy and King Combs have filed a cease and desist to a man named Courtney Burgess. Courtney Burgess claims to have obtained a flash drive which contained Kim Porter's diary, which he then used to write a memoir with. Christian and Quincy say that even if that were true, that intellectual property is theirs because they inherited it when their mom passed. All that being said, they're giving him 5 days to stop doing interviews, stop the online sales of the book, and reveal how much he's made off of the book. Back around Halloween, Diddy's sons and Ray J almost got into a fight, and Chris Brown had to break it up. Well, according to Ray J, they talked it out and worked out their differences. Post Malone will headline Coachella's 2025 festival. Former Chicago Bulls player and legend Bob Love has passed away at the age of 81 after a long battle with cancer. I feel like we've heard Denzel Washington speak more in the last couple of days than we've heard him speak in years. A couple days ago, Denzel Washington claimed that he kissed one of his male co-stars in the movie Gladiator while they were filming. The director came out and was like, yeah, that didn't happen. And then Denzel was like, yeah, that didn't happen. Denzel Washington also confirmed that Equalizer 4 and 5 are in the works as well. Rapper Designer has announced that he's expecting a baby boy with his girlfriend Joyce Bryant. Tyler, Creator's Chromacopia has hit its third consecutive week at #1 on the Billboard 200 list. Jay Leno shared with us that he was taking a shortcut from his hotel to a restaurant, fell down a hill 60 feet, he blackened his eye, broke his wrist, and bruised his face. Last but not least, Young Thug is being sued by AEG. They said that they gave him a loan back in 2017, which he defaulted on. They also said in 2021 he sold off the copyright rights to Cobalt Music for over 400 pieces of his work. They are seeking $5.25 million in damages. He just got out of prison, like, give him a break. I'm not sure exactly what's going on at the HBO studios, but Storm Reid got on the Governor's Awards red carpet and said that she will not be returning for season 3 of Euphoria. She says she'll forever be grateful for the opportunity, and she's still looking forward to what season 3 has in store. On top of the insane year Kendrick Lamar has had, Apple Music just named Kendrick Lamar their Rap Artist of the Year. The Country Music Association Awards took place tonight. Shabuzi performed his song, A Bar Song Tipsy. Shabuzi did not win Song of the Year, and a lot of fans are really upset about this because A Bar Song Tipsy just hit its 18th week at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Speaking of the CMAs not liking black people, do you remember when Beyonce dropped a country album and the CMAs did not give her one nomination? Well, none other than Billy Ray Cyrus spoke out and said that he was very surprised to hear that Beyonce did not get nominated, but he also recognizes that Beyonce is brilliant and doesn't need the CMA's little trophy. Yesterday I told you Post Malone announced that he was headlining Coachella. Well, today Lady Gaga, Green Day, and Travis Scott were also added as headliners. For all my book lover, book talk girlies, Anne Hathaway is going to feature in the film adaptation of Colleen Hoover's book Verity. For all my All-American fans, we got a release date for season 7. A special preview of the season will air on January 29th, and then the actual season will air on February 3rd. Cat Williams featured in GQ as the man who opened the portal, and he shared that he only mentioned Diddy in that Shannon Sharp interview because he's a big fan of Tupac. Cat Williams says that Tupac was his kindred spirit, and he just hated that Diddy got to walk around scot-free. Speaking of Diddy, as someone who wants to stop being associated with Diddy, Meek Mill cannot seem to stop associating himself with Diddy. He went on Twitter today to wish Diddy the best in prison and says that publications are just trying to tear the black man's name down. LeBron James announced that he's taking a break from social media. He didn't say exactly why, but earlier in the day, he did repost a tweet about how media in the US is just a very negative thing. Last but not least, 36-year-old Ashley Darby has finally filed for divorce from her 65-year-old husband, Michael Darby. The Real Housewives of Potomac stars announced 2 years ago that they were separating, and apparently they've already reached an amicable and fair settlement. Jussie Smollett's conviction was overturned today. So as a reminder, back in 2019, Jussie Smollett was accused of staging an attack against himself and then lying to police about it. The Illinois Supreme Court overturned Jussie's conviction, basically saying that the plea deal that he initially entered had to be honored. Through his initial plea deal, he had to forfeit his $10,000 of bond and do 15 hours of community service. His lawyers are basically saying that when Jussie was charged with a separate crime related to all of this, he had already done 18 hours of community service. Because of that, his sentence was complete and he shouldn't have been tried again, and a judge agreed. Future and Metro Boomin were named GQ's 2024 Hitmakers of the Year. During the interview portion, Metro Boomin made it very clear that his beef with Drake stems from a personal issue, but also clarifies that it has nothing to do with the girl. Future's also wondering why none of y'all have ever considered him part of the big three. Apple Music named Billie Eilish their 2024 Artist of the Year. The NFL released a security memo revealing that the FBI is investigating a crime ring that is targeting athletes' homes. You may remember this from a couple weeks ago when Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce reported that their homes had been burglarized. Well, a source very close to this is saying that these burglars are watching these team schedules as well as following the players and their families on social media to figure out when there's going to be no one home so they can steal cash, jewelry, all that. Neo went on a YouTube show called Lemon Drop with Carlene Roy to tell us that he's really enjoying this polygamous lifestyle and he feels so free knowing he's not living a monogamous lie anymore. I cannot wait for the day that I start one of these videos and I have absolutely nothing to tell you about this man. Unfortunately though, I have 3 different things to tell you about this man today. First things first, his lawyers are still working very hard to make sure that he can get released on bail so that he does not have to sit behind bars while he awaits his trial. They've gone so far as to claim that the video that they all saw of Diddy and Cassie in that hotel, they've claimed it's doctored and that they presented a doctored version of that video to the judge to make Diddy feel like a violent man. Also, as you probably all know by now, there's been hundreds of lawsuits against Diddy in the past couple of months. One of those lawsuits was filed by a man that claims there was a situation that took place in 2022. Well, that lawsuit was just dismissed. It was dismissed because the court did not authorize him to file anonymously. However, he can refile if he wants to. Also, in case you didn't know, this is Tony Busby. He is representing over 120 alleged victims of Diddy. As if this case could not get any more Lifetime-esque, he has been accused of assault himself now. A Jane Doe is suing Tony, claiming that he assaulted her when he was representing her divorce case. She claims that he pushed a champagne flute into her face, chipped her tooth, and she also says she has the medical and dental records to prove this. He responded saying that he will not stand for this level of defamation, and he also will not be bullied into not representing Diddy's victims. In better news, Mac Miller's second posthumous album, Balloonerism, will be released on January 17, 2025. Last but not least, Jonathan Major's ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari, has dropped the lawsuit against him. As a reminder, Grace Grace Jabari filed a lawsuit against Jonathan Majors back in March of this year, basically claiming assault and defamation that dated back to 2021. Today she dropped the lawsuit. It's unclear if there was an agreement that was made that led her to dropping the lawsuit, but she cannot file again. Kendrick Lamar dropped a surprise album called GNX. This project has 12 songs on it, and one of them is featuring none other than SZA. As expected, Wicked is already doing numbers in the box office. It already has $19.2 million in previews compared to Gladiator 2, which has $6.5 million. A few days ago, I told you how Storm Reed let us know that she will not be returning for season 3 of Euphoria. Well, Coleman Domingo let us know that his character will be returning. He doesn't know much about the production date or the script or what his character's role in all of this is, but he knows that he will be returning. A few days ago, I told you how Kai Cenat broke the record as the Twitch streamer with the most subscribers. He had hit 400,000. Well, today he broke the record again and he now has 500,000 subscribers on Twitch. For the reality TV girlies, The Traitors will return to Peacock on January 9th, 2025. A few notable features this season: Robin Dixon from Real Housewives of Potomac, Chriselle from Netflix's Selling Sunset, and Britney Spears' ex Sam Asghari. For any J. Cole fans, J. Cole released his 2009 mixtape The Warm Up to streaming services today. Ice Cube released his 11th studio album today. It's called Man Down. It's 19 tracks and it has features from Snoop Dogg, Busta Rhymes, and more. Back to Cat Williams, he let us know today that he bought a former Alabama military base with the intentions of turning it into a movie studio. He told GQ recently that this idea was inspired by creators like Tyler Perry and 50 Cent, and he also said that it's not fair to put all this pressure on Tyler Perry because there's only so much he can do. We know. Last but not least, unfortunately, Khalid was outed today. He was outed by a singer named Hugo Almonte after what seemed to be a falling out between the two. After Hugo outed him, Khalid tweeted a rainbow emoji and was like, "There y'all go, next topic please." He also made it very clear that he was never hiding his sexuality or ashamed of it. He just quite literally thought it was none of our business, and honestly, I feel that. I feel like I would be remiss to say it is never cool to out somebody, but I am happy that Khalid is taking it well and does not care what we think, but also he's being supported by the Black community very heavily right now. Yesterday, I told you how Kendrick Lamar dropped a surprise album called GNX. So on this album, he has a song called Whacked Out Murals where he addresses being selected to perform at the 2025 Super Bowl. In case you're super behind, Kendrick Lamar was selected to perform at the upcoming Super Bowl back in September. However, it did cause a little riffraff because the upcoming Super Bowl is in New Orleans, which is the hometown of Lil Wayne, and Lil Wayne had it said in his mind that he would be the halftime performer. Now, we're not exactly sure who or what made him think that, but he has taken every opportunity he can to remind us how unfair it is and remind us that it has been snatched away from him. Now, back to Whacked Out Murals, Kendrick Lamar addresses how he looked up to Wayne, but how he thinks that his hard work let Lil Wayne down. He also says that no one congratulated him except for Nas. Lil Wayne responded on Twitter, basically said that he didn't even do anything to warrant all that and begged y'all to leave him alone because if he wakes a sleeping giant, he'll destroy everything. The founder of My Oil Organics, Monique Rodriguez, has been in a lot of hot water recently as customers are coming out left and right saying that her products are causing hair thinning, skin dermatitis, you name it. I covered this story a few months ago, so if you're not familiar with all the context and details, I encourage you to go watch it. It's pinned to my page. But essentially, Monique Rodriguez took to Instagram today to say that her team discovered that the creator that started all of this discourse actually was paid off by competitors to start rumors about her. Michelle Williams had her opening night for a Broadway show called Death Becomes Her. This is a musical adaptation of a 1992 film with the same name. Who else was there to support her than the Children of Destiny themselves? It's currently Formula One Grand Prix weekend in Las Vegas. Obviously, a lot of celebrities are there. Rihanna and A$AP Rocky are also there. As a reminder, A$AP Rocky is the creative director for a partnership between Formula One and Puma. The Diddy Chronicles continue. Diddy's lawyers are still working overtime to get him out of jail while he waits for his trial to start. He's in the middle of appealing bail for the third time now. During this hearing, his lawyer suggested that Diddy could wait out his time on his private island where there's only one way on and one way off, and the judge literally scoffed and was like, absolutely not. And his lawyer was like, okay, what about his apartment in East Manhattan then? We'll probably know the final result from the judge on Monday. In other Diddy news, Diddy has issued a cease and desist to a man named Shine. If you're not familiar with Shine, he was a former rapper. He went to a club with Diddy and Jennifer Lopez back in 1999. While they were in the club, Diddy and another man got into a little scuffle, a couple pops rang out, and then 3 people ended up injured. Shine ended up being charged and going to prison for 10 years for this. Shine released a documentary on Hulu called The Honorable Shine where he made several allegations, including that he was just the fall guy for that whole situation. As of the time I'm recording this, the documentary is still up on Hulu, so I suggest you go watch it before they take it down. SZA appeared on Kai Cenat's stream and confirmed that her new album is dropping before 2024 ends. The girls at Bravo Fan Fest in Miami got a first look at Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16. The show will return in early 2025, and some of the biggest storylines will be Porsha's return to the show, but also her divorce from Simon Gabadia. Speaking of Simon, he's now sued Porsha for making false and defamatory claims about him. Porsha posted Instagram stories allegedly directed at Simon, but not naming Simon, about the importance of men's health, especially when it comes to dysfunction. Simon says the allegations are extreme and outrageous. He says they've hurt his reputation and he is seeking damages.